The Florida Panthers are on to the conference finals after eliminating the Toronto Maple Leafs in 5 games. Armando Velez of Locked On Florida Panthers is here to tell us how they did it and what their prospects are heading into the conference finals against Carolina. Gil Martin here. The Locked On Road to the Stanley Cup continues as we welcome Armando Velez from Locked On Florida Panthers to discuss the team's win in the second round over the Toronto Maple Leafs and to talk about their prospects in the conference finals against the Carolina Hurricanes. And Armando, let's start with the Leafs series. What was the biggest reason that the Panthers were able to eliminate the Leafs and do it in such a dominating fashion?
It was basically eliminating the stars of the Toronto Maple Leafs, the core four for the most part. I mean, through the first 3 games, nobody of Matthews, Marner, Tavares, and Nylander had a goal, and then Marner and Nylander get a goal in Game 3, and even in that, Game 4, and even in that game itself, the Florida Panthers, the goaltending and Sergei Bobrovsky gave them a chance to win in that Game 4, even though they fell behind by 2 goals in the third period. But in this series, the Florida Panthers able to pin the Toronto Maple Leafs back in their own zone and commit turnovers consistently as well. And this was without Matthew Tkachuk scoring a goal in this series as well. But he did get 5 points in the series. Aaron Ekblad gets 5 points as well. But so Alexander Barkov was so great on the defensive side of the puck as well, with 11 takeaways and 3 giveaways. And it's crazy how so many players have been bought in for this Florida Panthers team. I mean, Eetu Luostarinen, he is the only player at 5-on-5 with 40 plus minutes played that was not on the ice for a goal against in the entire second round in the NHL. So there's so many different players to give credit to as far as stopping the Leafs on the defensive side of the puck, and that was really the key. And Tavares didn't have a single goal, and neither did Austin Matthews, even though there were times where Matthews was a threat. Sergei Bobrovsky, a 946 save percentage in the series as well. And it really comes down to the fact that the Florida Panthers were able to transition to playing low-scoring games from what they did in the Boston series, which was high scoring, to this, and every single game was close. The only game that wasn't a 1-goal game was Game 1, and the insurance goal that they had was a Brandon Montour goal on a delayed penalty that he was able to score to make it 4-2 at the time in Game 1. And this is where the Panthers, they win the even strength battle, and not only they won the even strength battle, but they won the battle in the special teams as well. Toronto was a team that was second in the NHL behind the Edmonton Oilers in power play percentage in the league, and the Panthers got 3 power play goals, while the Toronto Maple Leafs were limited to 2 in the series. And here we are. The Florida Panthers win the series in 5. They're undefeated when they score first, 6-0 as well in the postseason when they score first, and they're 3-0 in overtime as well. So all these different factors and all these different situations that the Florida Panthers have been in, they've been able to capitalize every single time.
Who would you say was the series MVP against the Leafs?
Sergei Bobrovsky, no doubt about it. 946 save percentage, like I said earlier, and he's just been he was able to keep the Toronto Maple Leafs at bay, and even when they were a threat and getting on in the inside, Sergei Bobrovsky was able to be on top of the crease, take away the shooting angles. There was times where he would just sprawl out for saves with that pad to make a stop. He was just all over the place in a good way for stopping the top guns of the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he was definitely the player who the Florida Panthers anticipated when they gave him that contract in July 1 of 2019. Obviously, he didn't get off to a great start, especially in year 1. But this is the Sergei Bobrovsky that South Florida has been waiting to see.
Good timing as to when you're getting to see him. In the Toronto series, was there a particular weakness that was exposed that has you concerned for the Panthers heading into the conference final against Carolina?
I would say at times in the transition game for the Florida Panthers, and at times where they can get a little loose when breaking out, but the Florida Panthers have been able to neutralize that at times. Especially with the Stahl and Montour pairing as well. Credit to Brandon Montour that he's been able to log so many minutes throughout the postseason as well, especially because he's the quarterback on the power play as well. But at times that's where the concern has been. But thankfully, Sergei Bobrovsky has been able to bail out the Florida Panthers there as well. So I would say that's the front that the Florida Panthers might have been a little bit exposed.
As of right now, your team is in the conference finals. How does that change the long-term outlook for the Panthers? Is the playoff run already considered a success, and what more needs to be done?
It's already a success, and it was a success already when they beat the big Giants and the Boston Bruins in 7 games. Of course, the record that they had with 60 plus wins, and the Florida Panthers, that 43-point difference that they had, and knocking them down. And even in both series, when of course we have to make our series predictions here on the Locked On Network, I picked the opposition both times in the series. I picked Boston. I picked Boston in 6, and I picked Toronto in 6. But I'm a believer of this Florida Panthers team, that's for sure, and what they're able to do, because Matthew Tkachuk was saying that the best thing about beating the best team in the NHL is now going against the second best team in the NHL. Talking about the Bruins to the Maple Leafs, and now having this matchup against the Carolina Hurricanes, where it's a great defensive team. I mean, you put either of the goalies in net, they're going to protect their goaltenders as well, and they've done it all season. And these are the two teams in the National Hockey League who their blue liners were 1 and 2 in scoring. Carolina was first, Florida was in second. So it's going to be definitely a matchup of those two.
Should be a great series. We are definitely looking forward to it. Armando, thank you so much. That does it for our Florida Panthers review of round 2 here on the Locked On Road to the Stanley Cup. Be sure to subscribe to or follow Locked On Florida Panthers for free on YouTube, wherever you get podcasts, and now on SiriusXM on the SXM app. The Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.